you guys only have a limited amount of willpower in a day. You know, everyone tries to strong arm their way into doing things, and you know, they try to, some of you guys watching this, you know, you might be getting up at 4 a.m. trying to be David Goggins, watching all this hard style disciplined content, and it's like, there's so many studies and just so much evidence behind the fact that you don't have that much willpower on a day-to-day basis. In fact, each person has like an equivalent amount of willpower. Truthfully, things that will increase your capacity of willpower are absolutely your testosterone levels. If you're in shape, if your cardio, your heart is working well and you're young, of course it's going to increase your capacity, but you can't always be functioning off of willpower. So you need to optimize your environment. You need to optimize the things that are going to be easily accessible for you to do. So for example, today I woke up, had to take care of the dog. We had a tent job, then we had to go to Lowe's. They didn't have what we needed, but I didn't have time to go home and cook all this. But thank God it's 2026 and there's places that will give you seed oil free food from a farm like Meza. And this right here is like, I don't even have to like willpower my way into going to the grocery store, cooking the food, cleaning the dishes, and I just wasted like a whole hour and a half for one meal. Sure, it might be more cheap or whatever, but at the end of the day, your time is something that you want to save more than your money, especially if you have the ability to make that money back with the time that you save, like exponentially. If the time that you save is worth spending that extra money, then you genuinely should do that. But my point is that you have to be able to just streamline things a lot of the time. You're not always going to be able to willpower your way into doing things, especially if you're going to the gym and running a business or working and taking care of people. And then you're also trying to cook the food and prep the food, and like you're also trying to spend time with your girlfriend and spend time with your friends and go out and party on the weekends. And then you have all these different things to do, and it's like you're doing a whole lot of nothing because you can't focus on one thing. So this is why it's so important to streamline things. If you want to prep your food, prep it. If you want to come to a place like Meza, then come to a place like Meza where there's seed oil free food that comes from a farm. It's going to streamline your progress. You don't have to worry about the seed oils and all this and that. It's like everything here is cooked in real acceptable oil. So it's like, my point is that, and there's actually a study behind this where they took two people. Some of them used all their willpower, right? They used all their willpower in the day. The other people had a bunch of willpower, and they both gave them the option for clean food or like chocolate chip cookies. The people who were burnt out from using all their willpower, all their restraint, fighting gravity, fighting urges all day, they always they were far, far, far more likely to choose the junk food instead of the healthy food. But the people with all the willpower in the world, because they made things simpler for themselves, they outsourced their problems to mentors, they ate food that was convenient and still healthy, and they allowed themselves to just save time and energy. It was so much easier for them to make the decision to take care of themselves and eat the clean food. They were just like, oh, okay, it's just clean, you know. But the people who were burnt out were always making bad decisions. There's a real study on this. I'll pop it up right here. You're so much more likely to make abrasive bad decisions and just impulsive, non-logical, emotional moves when all your willpower is burnt out because your body is trying to decrease the stress. And it's proven that things with a lot of sugar and fat, like cookies, are going to decrease your cortisol a lot. So that's why it's so important that you understand that. And yeah, if you do eat cookies and sugar and you're stressed out all the time, well, stop burning all your willpower. You need to look around and be like, okay, if I'm burning all my willpower, I'm sitting down at a desk all day eating food, well, you're working all day, maybe you're doing IT or something, but it's like, get a coach to help you not waste all your time and energy trying to do it yourself, figure out your blood work, figure out your body type, what's good for you, etc. Like, do you really have that much willpower to figure it out yourself? It's going to cause you to spin in circles and repeat the same mistakes. And I can personally attest for this because there's been multiple times in my life where only 2 months of mentorship did more for me than 2 years of doing it on my own multiple times. In the two things that I do the most in this very moment, 2 months of mentorship was more valuable than 2 years of doing it on my own. From tinting windows, I was watching YouTube videos on doing it on my own, and you know, I got decent, right? I was tinting a couple cars here and there, maybe making $1 to $3K a month. You know, it was just a side hustle. Then I went and worked at a shop, and I basically unlearned all the things that I was doing and relearned how to tint. And I basically, when I started taking it seriously, within the first month, I was already making 10K a month just from the skill increase. I was learning from a guy who had done it for 25 years. And that right there basically gave me 25 years of experience. See, when you learn from people who have the experience, you get that experience if you actually have the ability to drop the ego and just learn. So it's like, you can compress time frames and save your time massively by just paying a mentor and finding someone who's in the expertise that you, or someone who is able to solve the problem that you're currently facing. So it's also really important that when you're like having a problem, you need to think of who instead of how. Because if you always think of how, not only are you burning your limited amount of willpower, but like you might not even solve the problem. And it's like, you're not a professional in solving it. You might do a really bad job and it might cost you more to fix that bad job than it will cost you to just find someone to fix the problem. If you had a plumbing issue in your house, you're not gonna go into the wall and start banging pipes with a hammer. You're gonna find a plumber. The same thing with an electrician. You're not gonna go on the wall and start twisting shit, get electrocuted and possibly be in the hospital and ruin your entire home's electricity system. You're just gonna find the damn electrician. Same thing applies in life. Whatever problem you're struggling with, you need to understand that there's people at the top. LeBron James, he spends $4,000 a day, $1.5 million a year on mentors. And it's like, there's people who are afraid to invest $1,000 into themselves over the course of a year from someone who has the ability to solve their problem. You should also have the ability to see through the bullshit and see if someone's like reading off of a script. Like for those of you guys watching this, you know I'm not reading off of a script. Am I reading off of a script, Jeremy? This is all off the dome. So that's another good way to really vet someone out and see if, is this person full of shit or no? Did they put on a mask and not say certain things? Yes, no, maybe so, cool. What I preach is natural testosterone optimization, running a business, and an average person, obviously, like, any person with common sense can tell that I have the expertise in these things, but it's because I learned from mentors who were ahead of me. I've invested over 50K into mentors, proudly. This year, the goal is over 200. Because when you're young, if you really want to get ahead, you need to invest as much as possible into mentors because you lack experience. You lack life experience, and that's just how it is. So if you want that experience, or you want that wisdom, or you want that knowledge and wisdom, you need to invest in people who don't really have, like, nobody's going to want to coach you and teach you for free. You know, it's too valuable. But if you can find someone who is willing to take some money in return for teaching you how to save your time and energy, which is worth more than any money, that's a good fucking deal. And I'll keep doing that. I will keep buying mentorships, courses, I'm the biggest course buyer ever. I actually don't buy courses. I don't believe in courses. I believe in mentorship. There's a big difference between a course and a mentorship. I just want you to understand that. A course is like, for example, this right here, this napkin is 2K. You want this course? It's gonna teach you how to wipe your face, right? Boom, 2K. Versus a mentorship, 2K, okay. So you see this napkin right here, I'm gonna teach you how to actually wipe it and then teach you how to just solve your own problem and wipe and clean, and then you can create your own napkin because the person who created the napkin or the person who's the professional is teaching you. That's far more valuable than say, here, wipe it. You know, it's like, that's the difference between a coach and a course. It's a big fucking difference. You know, if you had a big ego and weren't coachable from day one, you would still be drooling on fucking blocks in preschool, unable to speak English and articulate yourself or speak whatever language you might be translating this from. So the ability to be coachable and learn and be a lifelong learner is a very important characteristic that you need to have if you ever want to get ahead. But the point of this video is that you have a limited amount of willpower. You need to be able to streamline processes if you want to make it ahead, because you have a limited amount of willpower. And if you can't always use it, which you cannot use your willpower all day, every day. It's like that feeling when you get off of work after slaving away. It's like, you can't even think straight. You just want to go to sleep and like eat cookies or drink beer on the couch. It's like, that's because your willpower is gone. But if you go on vacation, you're at the beach in the sun, now you have all these ideas, all this energy, you're creative, you have more joyfulness and just more life inside of you. That's the difference between when you have a shit ton of willpower versus none at all. So use your willpower wisely to make a hard decision to drop the characteristics that are holding you back, which are things like ego protecting mentality, victim mentality, passive mentality, approval seeking mentality, because those will hold you back. And that's a whole other video. That's like the 4 pillars. I'm gonna make an entire new video on that. That's called the 4 pillars of failure. Ego protecting, passive, approval, and victim. All 4 of those are the 4 pillars of how to fail. And most people by default, especially us men, we have it by default. We have this ego. When another guy like might be trying to tell us something, we try to rationalize and be like, oh no. It's normal to have an ego as a guy, but you have to understand that if you're young, you have to be rational enough to rise above that and not just live off of the animalistic default instinct that is holding you back. So you have a limited amount of willpower, use it wisely. Make sure that you're not eating any fucking seed oils, and you're getting jacked this summer because you only live one life. If you're in your 20s, you're in your 20s once, and yeah, your future is more important than cookies and your feelings. So that's the point of the video, guys. I hope you guys like this video. Like and follow for more. Follow me on Instagram at _Omar Palmer. And if you want to be coached by me, apply down below in the description or in the biography of my YouTube. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's get it.